What is up guys, it's your boy Solam here, back with another Classic WoW video for Cataclysm Classic and Mr. Pandaria. Today we'll be touching on preparing for Mr. Pandaria, how certain things are working in Mr. Pandaria, and how you can use this to your advantage by capitalizing on this knowledge right now. So this will help you prepare yourself for the upcoming expansion in Cataclysm, which is Mr. Pandaria, and it has to do with inscription. Now, inscription is a very good way to make gold in general when it comes to Classic WoW. If you played Wrath, for example, you probably made quite a lot of gold on Darkmoon cards. Even in Cataclysm, you probably made a lot of gold on Darkmoon cards. And I'm just gonna say, Darkmoon cards are changing. In Mr. Pandaria, you can make even more gold on Darkmoon cards than you ever have in the past, but you have to approach things very differently this time around. So let's take a look at that, shall we? So first of all, what is a Darkmoon card, for those of you wondering? Well, Darkmoon card is, for example, this right here in Cataclysm, where you have the 4 of the winds, which is something you can make through a profession called inscription. So you make these cards, and then you can combine these cards into a deck, which you can then hand in for a Darkmoon trinket. And if I search up right now, we can do this and search up for epic, and then you will find these Darkmoon trinkets. The one we just looked at, the Of the Winds card, combining all 8 of that will give you this trinket, Darkmoon card Hurricane. As you can see, I have sold quite a few of that, 18 Hurricanes, and if we have any Volcano decks here, like the Tsunami for example, I've sold 10 Tsunami, and over here we have sold 21 Volcano trinkets. Now in this case I sold them for an average of 16,000 gold, and you can see this one right here went for a top end of 42,000 gold, and the bottom was 8,900. So capitalizing on the inscription, you can make insane amount of gold really early, and then every single week the amount of gold you make will go down. So by using this strategy, you can make absolute bank really early in Mr. Pandaria. So let's talk about how things are changing, because in the past, both in Wrath and in Cataclysm, we have been able to mass craft these decks, or like also the cards, which means I can have one character right now, and provided I buy the materials on the auction house, I can make 1,000 Darkmoon cards literally today if I want to. In Mr. Pandaria, that is changing. In Mr. Pandaria, you will have access to this craft right here, Darkmoon card of the Mists. This one requires profession, Pandaria, inscription. Ignore the number there, it's not 75, but you have to be almost maxed out, Mr. Pandaria, I believe. And this will give you a random Darkmoon card of Mists. The craft itself is the exact same. You will get a random card, and then you have to hope to get 8 cards of the same set, and combine that set to get a trinket. Now, if you look at the reagents required, we have the light parchment, obviously. We have 10 brand new ink from Mr. Pandaria, but here is where the change is happening. You need something called a Scroll of Wisdom, and if we go to this craft right here, this is the Scroll of Wisdom craft. This one combines 3 Ink of Dreams and 1 light parchment, and you can start doing this really early in Mr. Pandaria, by the way, like literally 1 skill. You can make a Scroll of Wisdom on a 1-day cooldown, and as you can see, going back to the card itself, you will need one of these to make a card, which means theoretically you can make 1 card per day. Now, in the past, you usually have 2 weeks or something between the launch and the first Darkmoon fair, so provided you do every single daily, like all of these crafts every single day, you can make 14 cards in 2 weeks, and then pray to be able to get a set. Now, usually, that is how you get the scroll, it's a daily cooldown. There are also some quests, so looking here, this is a Scroll of Wisdom once again, and these are a couple of quests that gives you Scrolls of Wisdom. So you can see, we have a couple of weeklies. You have one weekly, the top one here, called Set in a Jade, giving you 1 more scroll, and it's a weekly quest. Now this one will give you 1 additional scroll every single week. You also have a Thing of Beauty, another weekly quest, giving you 1 more scroll every single week. You have Portrait of a Lady, giving you 1 more scroll every single week. You have Incarnadine Ink, which is also giving you 1 scroll every single week. And then you have Staves for Tiana Mastery, giving you 2 scrolls every single week. Lastly, for the weeklies, you also have a Tribute to the Dead, giving you 1 more scroll every single week. This means every single week you can do weekly quests and get yourself 7 more scrolls on a weekly basis. You still also have the daily craft, which means you can get 14 scrolls every single week or make 14 Darkmoon cards every single week. Then you also have a couple of one-time quests. You have the Inscribed Tiger Staff, Inscribed Crane Staff, and Inscribed Serpent Staff, giving you 10 cards as well, but they are one-time, not weekly. So once again, what is changing in Mr. Pandaria here is that the cards you can make is gated based on daily activities, daily crafts, and weekly quests. So dailies and weeklies, giving you a capped number of cards that you can make per character. Now that last word I said is the important part here when it comes to how you can prepare for this right now. Per character. The cards themselves can be traded, so even though you can only make, let's just assume you do the craft every single week, and you do the weeklies you can then get 14 scrolls every single week, or make 14 Darkmoon cards every single week. Now, you also have the possibilities of getting about 32 cards, which means the chances of you getting a full set is very, very minimal every single week. So you would either have to sell individual cards, which usually are worth way less than the actual deck, or you can have multiple characters. Once again, the cards themselves can both be sold on the auction house and traded. So if you have 2 characters, suddenly you go from doing 14 crafts every single week to doing 28. And if you have 10 characters, you can do 140 crafts every single week instead of just 14. So how many characters you have here will directly benefit how much profit you can make. And anyone who's played either during Wrath of the Lich King or Cataclysm, you can probably attest to how much gold Darkmoon cards actually makes at the start of an expansion. Many of these cards are best in slot for these classes, like DPS trinkets and also the healing trinkets are very good for multiple phases or multiple patches. Even now in like Firelands, some people are still using Darkmoon cards. They are best in slot for a long time. And the same thing goes in Mr. Pandaria. The trinkets are really good, and this time around they're gating how fast you can make them. You have weeklies and dailies once again to be able to make these crafts. Once again, this right here is the sources of which to get the scroll. You have weekly quest, then you have the daily craft, and they are required in the actual craft itself. Now, where the preparations comes in is that we currently have something called Joyous Journeys in Cataclysm, which means if you want to have more than one character doing this in Mr. Pandaria, start leveling now. You have a 50% experience gains bonus until Dragon Soul comes out, and towards the end of Dragon Soul as well, I would imagine we have Joyous Journeys for several months before Mr. Pandaria comes out, so take advantage of that while you can and level up even faster than you did previously, and get multiple characters to level 80 plus. I am, for example, slowly leveling all of my characters to level 85 to do these crafts, and also buy herbs. Start skilling up inscription. It will get more and more expensive the closer we get to Mr. Pandaria, so level up characters now and start buying herbs now. Once again, the more people know about this method right here, and the fact that you need to have multiple scribes in order to actually capitalize on this, the more people will buy those herbs and start skilling up inscription on multiple characters. So be ahead of the pack and buy the herbs now. And yeah, that's basically what I have for you today. Like, once again, this is a huge change coming in Mr. Pandaria, so I wanted to make a full video covering this topic in depth and about how to handle this and go about it right now and prepare yourself for Mr. Pandaria. Darkmoon cards and Darkmoon trinkets is an insane way to make gold. We have seen this once again both in Wrath and in Cataclysm, and it will be the same in Mr. Pandaria as well. That being said, they are gating how many cards you can make, so people that have multiple characters will benefit greatly. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like down below and let me know how you are preparing for Mr. Pandaria in the comments. When it comes to gold making wise at least, let me know some ways you're preparing in the comments down below. And as always, thank you for watching, I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you again in the next video very soon.